And guess what? There's blue fucking feet.
Bitch.
Let the animal.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel and welcome back to my channel. It's Tess. So this video has been pushing all my other videos to the side. I haven't been able to film this one because I had an idea in my head of like, oh, I'll get spooky lighting and wait for it to be dark, and it just never happened. So I decided I'll just film it, and if it is what it is, I'm sorry. Now, I did do a poll on Facebook if you guys wanted to see a paranormal story time or if you wanted to see my coming out story. And I do both videos because content. I promised that I would do this one, and this one got the most votes, so I'm delivering. Sorry if I touch my hair a lot, it's been falling on my face. What's new? So this video is about paranormal story times of mostly my childhood and some into my teenage adult life, right? Look at me agreeing with myself. So let's start when I was really young, the first time I ever had a paranormal experience. So when I was about 8, my dad owned this really big church, and it had a gigantic, I haven't had a church so long, what is it? Sanctuary, like where the pews are and all that stuff, and then the pulpit and all that where the preacher preaches. In the back, there was a hallway with Sunday school classes on both sides, and then in the back there was a kitchen. So on the Sunday school classes, there were 2 rooms on the left side and 2 rooms on the right side, and the left side was the playrooms for the boys and the girls. So one night, church is over and my parents are wrapping up and turning the lights off and everything, and they didn't know that I was in the playroom. I was in the boys' playroom. I stuck some Barbies in there, what can I say? So as I'm playing with my Barbies, I start to feel like a little bit of like an uneasiness. I've never felt an uneasiness before in a church, mostly, but in this one it was always different. I always dreaded being alone in this church for some reason. So I'm playing with my dolls, being a little sinner in church like usual. I feel this presence, and it's just really like, it's on my chest, like it is weighing me down. I'm just like, oh my god, like I need to get out of here. And I'm only 8, and all of a sudden the lights turn out. And being a little kid, you kind of freak out anyways, but it was a little bit different. So there's this thing that I can only describe as like a shadow person. If you don't know what those are, they're just these like figures of like people, but you can't see their features or anything like that. You can just see like the outline. And that's kind of what I saw. And I saw like certain symbols and stuff on it that kind of, were like glowing kind of. I know this sounds crazy. And for all the skeptics out there, I get it. Like, some of this stuff just sounds stupid. And you don't have to believe me. For all you know, I'm just making this up for a video. But the things start reaching towards me, and I start screaming bloody murder. I'm screaming, and I'm screaming, and I'm crying, and I'm like throwing toys at this thing. And my mom comes in and opens up, and it just, poof, evaporates. And I told them what had happened, but of course they didn't believe me. Or, well, my dad did. But they didn't know what to like think of it. And it just kind of dropped off there. Now, the second thing, this one gets kind of bonkers more than the other one, but we used to live in this house in Orville, Ohio, and in Orville, Ohio, there is literally nothing but cornfield. And we lived in this split-level ranch house that when you walked in, there was a landing and then stairs going up and stairs going down, and in the downstairs there was a basement area, and on your left there was a garage, and then going up there was a living room and kitchen straight ahead. It comes in to play. And these are also stories of some other people, like my mother, but I'll tell you about the first one, which is mine. So when I was younger, I wasn't like my brother, so I used to just play by myself with my action figures and dolls, okay? So one night I was playing with my dolls in my house, and my brothers and my dad had been at church, but my mom was sick at home, and I stayed with her like I always did. So I'm playing with my action figures or dolls or whatever I was playing with, and I heard my name from the hallway, but it sounded different. It didn't sound like anybody I knew, not even my mom. It sounded kind of like distorted. And I said, Mom, and she didn't answer me. And she was in her room, which is right across from mine. I'm sitting there. I had these beds. My brother and I shared a room, my younger brother, and they were twin mattresses, but they were like spaced apart. And I was on the other side of the one in the room, and I got scared, so I laid down, and when I looked over under the bed, you can see like clear under them, I saw a pair of like bluish gray feet, and of course my butthole clenched because I was scared out of my mind. I jolt up and there's nothing there, and I look back under the bed, and guess what? There's blue fucking feet. It was the scariest thing of my life, and I didn't even know how to react. So as you do when you're younger, you scream for your mother. Screaming and crying again like a little bitch. My mom comes in, I told her what happened, and she didn't believe me. Which she did end up later because something like that happened to her. We had a lot of fucked up shit happen in this house. So the next one is from my mother. This is her experience that she has told to us throughout the years, and I actually 100% believe her, mostly because we have seen these things happen firsthand. So one night my mother is home alone, and she is in her room. She hears the cabinets in the kitchen rattling and shaking and banging and opening and closing. And so her being her, she starts praying and she starts like calling my dad and telling him what's going on. He said he'll be home soon. Lord knows what he was doing. So then she goes out and she goes in there and nothing's wrong. All the cabinets are shut, nothing's happening. But there is a washcloth that she was doing dishes with in the middle of the floor, spread out. Like, Let me see if I can give you an example of this. I went to go get a cloth. I'm invested. So it's laying on the floor like this. Like, my face is the floor. And it's laying like this, all spread out. So my mom just throws it back to where it came from, to where it was, and she goes back in her room. A couple minutes later, she hears the banging again, and she starts to pray again, and then this time she starts to get a little more scared because she knows that there's nothing that she can do, and my dad's gonna be home in like an hour or so. Thinking about this is making me sweat. So anyways, she's in her room, doing whatever she's doing, trying to just like wait this out, but she ends up getting the courage to go and check it out. The cabinets are all shut again, but this time the cloth is on the floor again, just sitting out in the middle of the floor like before.
My face is the floor.
So she goes back to her room. This happens a couple of times, but then she comes out and gets mad. And she comes out and she's looking around and she sees the cloth in the middle of the floor, but here's the kicker. It's standing up like this on its own, like someone is pinching it in the middle of the floor. Like this. Like someone's holding it up, taunting her. Now this gave me nightmares as a kid, as one does when you overthink. Now I have to go put this washcloth away. Boom. Did I scare you? I'm sorry, I won't do that again. So this next one is actually from my dad, and it's in the exact same house. So at this point, we have established that this house is fucked up. Demon-possessed, paranormal, whatever. It's not right. And one way that we knew this is because when my dad was talking on the phone to a minister in Tennessee, where we used to live, they were talking about church and they were talking about God or something like that. I don't remember what they were talking about, but we were all in the living room with him. And as he's talking, he has the phone like this in his hand. And he's talking and whatever, and we're all listening. And out of nowhere, the phone, it lifts out of his hand and just flows against the, like, just throw, like, and it shatters, like, into a million pieces. Like, it was that hard. And the last one that I have from the house is my older brother, Travis. And I wish he was here to tell it because it's much better from his perspective. But okay, now this is where the layout of the house comes into play. So Travis was going downstairs because my mom told him to shut off the basement light. So he goes down the stairs and down the other flight of stairs and he turns it off. And as he's walking up to the landing in between the stairs, he hears a flick and looks back down and sees that the basement lights are back on. And I don't know about you, but I would have just noped the fuck out of there, which we did. We ended up moving to a whole other state for unrelated reasons, I think. Ugh. And when we were leaving for Tennessee, my dad said that he felt a presence trying to follow us. Him and the minister that we were going to Tennessee with got out of the car and blessed the car. There's some other things from my childhood and stuff like that, and even from like stuff that's happened to me. I guess I'll tell this one story. I was living in this house with my parents, and I was in the shower, and when I was in the shower, I would always hear these, like, crying noises. And I'm not talking, like, ooh, like, I'm talking, like, scream crying. And so I would always, like, shut off, and it would be dead silent, because I would shower when I was home alone. For some god no reason. I was dumb. And this would only happen when I was alone. This one night, I'm showering, and I hear the screaming, and it's, like, extra loud this night. And I'm home alone, because my parents had gone out for some reason. I start to freak out a little bit, because it's never been this loud and this, like, harsh before. So I end up coming to the bathroom door. I have a towel wrapped around me and I am like terrified. Again, that sense of dread hits me like a fucking truck. So I'm listening at the door. And I hear footsteps running around my living room. And I was like, that's weird. No one's home. And I thought it was either my dog or my cat because I had both at the time. But it sounded like, you know what human feet sound like. It's just like boom, boom, boom. I don't know. You know what human feet sound like, what footsteps sound like. I heard my dog whimper. So I open the door and immediately I hear footsteps bounding, running towards me. And I start to freak out. I'm just like this, like that SpongeBob meme. And I can hear it like running towards me, but I don't see anything. And then I hear it running and it just stops right in front of me. I bolt my ass to my room and I called my parents. Which this also reminds me of the time that someone broke into my house. And if you want that story time, comment down below. I don't know for sure if someone broke into my house or not. It could have just been whatever this thing was, but... So that's it for now. If you want to hear more paranormal stories, I will definitely do that for you. Just let me know. I definitely appreciate every single one of you who watches. My socials are linked down in the description down there. Like, comment, and subscribe because most of my viewers are not subscribed and I don't know why you would want to be a part of that. It makes me very depressed. So cure my depression by subscribing. Thank you. And I love you. Bye.
Let the animal